Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The subject of the discourse today is feeling as a mental faculty, that is to say, indriya. Faculty simply means a power base or a controlling power. So feeling as a mental state or as a sensation, growing into a power base, into something of immense, power and potency and capability to change the whole course of life. So feeling as that, as a power base. So if we understand these various shades of the term feeling and how they are very, very important indeed to our day-to-day life and to our spiritual evolution, spiritual development. We are born to achieve something. We don't just exist. Existence must have meaning. And that meaning will come when life becomes truly useful, or it is an evolutionary process whereby we progress on the onward path to spiritual freedom, meaning freedom from all the sufferings of worldly existence. Once we understand that life has a role, has a purpose, then we will have to understand how to make life purposive, and the tool for that is feeling. One of the tools. It's an important tool indeed. Now let me first of all explain. Today we will have a little bit of practical exercise of how to understand feeling and how to control it, handle it properly, and gain benefits out of that, spiritual as well as emotional, mental and moral benefits. So now, feeling, Vedana simply means sensation. Vedeti iti Vedana. One, a sensation is a kind of, it is a mental state of sensing. It senses what happens in the sensory mechanism. That is to say, the sensory bases. There are 6 sensory bases. Strictly speaking, 5 sensory bases and 1 mental basis. So, these bases, sense bases or sensory bases, are one sight, seeing, the base through which we see and we experience the world, the base through which we hear and we experience the world in a certain manner. Seeing is one manner of experiencing the world. Hearing is another manner of experiencing the world. Smelling is one more way of experiencing the world. Similarly, tasting, tongue and tasting, that is another doorway to experience the world. And then the body itself, just sensing, touch, the tactile faculty, the ability to touch and come in contact, bodily contact. Now that's a very, very big area of sensation. So these are the 5 physical sensory bases. And if we understand them and their importance, then we can have control over our feelings and thereby over our thinking process. And having control over our thinking process, we have control over the mind itself, over ourselves, over our life for that matter. We have control over how we live, how we conduct, how we can have total mastery, self-mastery over ourselves. And all this through ability to control the feelings. Now, the 6 points I mentioned, 5 are the purely physical or bodily sense bases, and the other is the mind itself. Mind is a world by itself. It's a huge, very vast and with infinite capacity and endowments. So mind functions in so many different ways. So one of the functions of the mind is acting as a base for experiencing the world, both the external world as well as the internal world. Now, for instance, you see something with your eye. Now let us try an exercise. All of you please close your eyes just for a second. And now open the eye and see the Buddha image right in front of you. Now you see the Buddha. Close your eye again. You don't see the Buddha image. So now, this seeing of the image or some visible object brings about or arouses certain feelings along with this seeing. Seeing of something is not just a very ordinary experience. No, it's a complex experience. First of all, there must be the sense base, the eye sense base. Then there must be the visible object. And when these two, the eye base and the visible object, they meet, right then there is a thing called advertence. The mind adverts towards the object. The eye consciousness adverts towards the object, and then this conjunction of three, that is to say, the sense faculty, the sense base, eye, sense base, then the visible object, in this case the Buddha image, and then the mind adverting towards the Buddha image, which is called eye consciousness, technically. So when these three things meet in a conjunction, it is only then that a feeling arises, not otherwise. So feeling just does not happen. As some people say, oh, I just felt, so I jumped into something and I punched somebody. No, it is not so simple as that. It's a very complex happening. So now, as we are trying out this experience, we might as well proceed a little more. So now you look at the Buddha image again and just do nothing just by seeing it, that's all. Just see and watch your mental state. You see the Buddha image and see, as you see, immediately you will also feel. Because seeing means a trijunction, a conjunction of the image as a visible object, your eye sensory organ, and your mind adverting towards it, means paying attention towards it, attending on it, the mind attending, that is the advertence. So now once these three things happen, then a feeling occurs. So now please look at the image for just a second and try to experience the feeling you are having now. What kind of feeling do you experience when you see the image? Now each person has a very unique mind and therefore a very unique feeling. A feeling of devotion, a feeling of appreciation, or just the feeling of light, or just a pleasant feeling, a pleasant sensation. There is no other, any other complicated sense, but just sensory, the sense of being aware of the object, the sensation. So all these now, along with this conjunction of the 3 points, now you have the feeling. So feeling just doesn't arise. If you just close your eye now, don't see the image, just close it. Or look away from the image and you will see your feeling also vanishes. So feeling is dependent upon this conjunction. The moment you understand that, then you can have control over the feeling. I will give you another example. Now try out. Close your eye and watch your breath. Good. As you are breathing in, your chest is expanding. Automatically, you are not doing it. It's just happening. It's a part of life. So it's rising, and then as you breathe out, it falls. Rise and fall movement caused by breathing in and breathing out. There are other ways also of sensing breath, but this is one very effective way, and now please do that. Now just watch the rise and fall movement of your abdomen, which is caused by breathing in and breathing out. Now just watch the breathing in, breathing out, and therewith the movements, rise and fall movement. Just do that for, let us say, a minute or two. You don't lose anything, you gain a lot. And you will see as the breath becomes clearer and clearer and clearer, the rise and fall movement becomes clearer and clearer. Then you just switch off your mind, so to say, and begin to think of the Buddha image, not the breath, the Buddha image. And then from Buddha image back again to your breath. Compare the feelings between the two sensations. One is a mental image because your eyes are closed. So the breath, the sensation is that of a tactile sensation. The body, as you are breathing in and out, and if the rise and fall movement is seen in the form of a tactile sensation, kaya sampasva, a contact between the body and the breath, a part of the body and the breath. So this sensation is a purely tactile sensation, touch sensation, bodily touch sensation. Now that you experience when you see the rise and fall movement. So when you do that, you are having a very distinct object. It's a mental object, you see, and a distinct object at that. Now from this mental object of the rise and fall, you again switch back to the Buddha image by opening the eye. It's a bodily, it's a physical object. It's a visible object, not a mental object. So as you switch quickly to the eye, to the image, you will see the feeling that arose when you are watching your rise and fall movement. Those feelings disappear and a new feeling arises based upon the visible object. Whatever feeling you have got towards the Buddha image, that will take over now. If you are a devotee, you will feeling a sense of devotion, a sense of respect, a sense of reverence towards the object. And or if you are not, if you have just an intellectual interest, an intellectual way, then you may see some of the characteristics of the image and you begin to think on those characteristics and give some name of your own. You say, oh, the Buddha smiles, how beautiful, this smiling feeling. And or the Buddha looks so compassionate, looking at you with deep feeling of love and compassion. So these different sensations and feelings and emotions you can associate when you look at it in an intellectual way. But if it is a purely in a spirit of humble devotion, the master to whom you go for refuge, the protector, ultimately you take him to be the protector in every way, therefore the savior. Once you have that approach, then your feelings are very different. The feelings of upliftment, feelings of adoration and devout sense of, appreciation or devotion and all that. And that will bring about piti, a kind of rapture, a very joyous feeling and devotional, humble feeling, rapture. So these are the feelings you see associated with the image, and whatever the feeling that you get when you see the image, compare that with the feeling that you are having with, purely rise and fall movement. Now please continue with your rise and fall movement for, let us say, 5 minutes. Now as you do that, be very mindful and very watchful of the thoughts that arise. You are supposed to be watching mentally, that is observing, plain rise and fall movement, not thinking. But now you will see thoughts may arise, or some mental image may arise, not just a thought, but some mental image, and that image may be of the past. When you left your home, something happened, or on the way something happened, or when you reached this place something happened, you met somebody and spoke and something happened. Some of those events may spring up in the mind in the form of a mental image. Now as you watch these different images arising in the mind, instead of observing the rise and fall movement, but some other images, what kind of feeling do you have towards each image if you now very carefully and very mindfully observe? And not only that, very insightfully, with lot of sense of understanding and penetrating knowledge. With that kind of thing you try to examine or investigate the nature of the feeling, you will be surprised how different they can be, how varied. Now let us say if you are if you just remember your past, something, somewhere, it need not be today, maybe yesterday, maybe some other day, and then you unfortunately have had a row with somebody. Imagine that you met a person and you had a little discussion and you disagreed each other, and then there was a sort of a dislike of each other, or momentary anger just shot up, and some kind of a verbal, row occurred. So if you now remember that as a past experience, instead of watching the rise and fall movement, if that image comes and if you are not careful, you will experience those very very undesirable feelings of anger. Now anger will simply overtake by remembering an occasion where you became angry. So you are reliving anger. That is to say, you are again experiencing a karma, because when you are angry, you are committing a karma. First of all, a mental karma. Then it may degenerate, or it may become even worse by a verbal karma. And then even worse still, fisticuff, or you may make faces and angry looks at each other and all that sort of thing. So now, all these karmas are associated with the feeling. So feeling automatically brings about many other things because it has control over many other factors of mind. It has control over the thinking, control over very powerful emotions, like emotion of anger and etc. So all these again simply spring up if you are not very careful, if you are not mindful, you are not observant of what is happening. You see, when you are supposed to be watching only the rise and fall movement and nothing but that. And if you compare those experiences of the past with your present feeling, present observation of the rise and fall movement, you will see in the rise and fall movement the mind becomes increasingly calm. And why? Because by watching the breath in a neutral way, when your feelings are neutral and open, therefore very open mind and clear mind, once you watch like that, the breath becomes calmer, calmer and calmer. And along with the breath, you will also see your mind becomes progressively calmer